Welcome to the Space in Between podcast, a series where we will talk about everything and anything mental performance in a bite-sized fashion.
I'm Sienna, and as per usual, I'm here with Frida.
Sure.
We are certified mental performance consultants from Ireland and Sweden. On this podcast, we share our knowledge and passion for all things sport and performance psychology. This includes all things mindset, exercise, sport, everyday life, and insights into how we help ourselves and others with developing our mindset.
Always such a treat to be on here with you, Sienna.
So exciting to be in the podcast studio today, Frida. What are we talking about?
We're going to talk about handling disappointment in sport.
This is a raw one.
It is wrong for you anyway. I'm going to have to dig really deep to find anything. Just kidding.
That just means that you don't care.
Before we get into the topic, though, as always, we want to let you know what we got going on.
Yeah. We are well on our way to 1 million subscribers on YouTube. We are only 900,880 people away. So, guys, you need to look up the space in between on YouTube. Bodies who we are. We are encouraging people to set goals and hunt them down.
Yeah, there you have it. Yeah, but definitely join our YouTube, the YouTube team, the YouTube gang. Give us a subscriber there. We are posting all fun things. And especially now that Sienna's handball season is kicking off, we will be sharing videos behind the scenes, the good, the bad, the ugly.
And in January, Frida is going to start training for a half Ironman next summer. You're going to see all things performance in that regard as well.
We're just going to be making content left and right. If you don't follow us on Instagram, please do. That's a good spot too.
All right,
anyway.
Let's get into it. So, handling disappointment in sport. Difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Something everyone will have to do.
Yep. Part of performance, unfortunately. But you know what? Before we get into the nitty-gritty of this, without the lows, we don't get the highs. And that's the reality of it.
That is true.
You know, if we're always just in the middle, never experiencing the tough ones, we're never going to get the ecstasy of the great ones.
I think it does play an important role in just the drive to keep going. Same thing after you are successful, you just want to get that feeling again.
Addictive. Yeah,
it is addictive. And then when you have had that experience and then you become really disappointed about something, then you never want to feel that again.
Yeah.
You know, those two things play a huge role in making sport and performance what it is. It's interesting.
I mean, it's what it means to be human, doing sports, playing sports.
I know. Such an interesting thing we choose to spend our time doing.
But I guess, you can experience it in any area of life, obviously. The reason why we're going to talk about handling disappointment in sports is Sienna played...
I need an intervention.
Sienna needs an intervention after this weekend.
Yes.
We're doing better. By we, I mean me and Sienna, we're doing better.
Yes. I think one of the when I think about being disappointed in your performance or in the experience, there are many things that you can be disappointed in. So for example, that could be in the performance itself, or it could be in the preparation, or it could be in how you handle things on the court.
Yeah.
And all those disappointments can impact you differently and impact each individual differently. But even within the disappointment, it's not always just I'm disappointed I lost, It can be a lot more than that.
Definitely, there's more variables. That's a part of that. I think that's interesting because, for example, you could prepare really well and feel really good in your preparation, and then you could underperform on the day, what you're executing in the performance. You could be disappointed, but you could still be happy with how you prepared.
Yeah.
You could also be disappointed maybe in your preparation, but then let's say you actually perform really well. All of a sudden that scale is a little different. There's so many different variables here that we can look at. So I guess that kind of goes into figuring out where is my disappointment coming from? So asking those questions, building that awareness. What is happening right now? What am I feeling? What am I experiencing? And where does that come from?
Yeah. When I think about myself, it's actually kind of interesting to think about last weekend because, in one way, I don't think I'm disappointed in my preparation. We obviously, if you didn't know, we have been in Spain for the last 9 weeks now. So that was 8 weeks leading up to the competition. And there are no handball courts here except a fronton court. So if you don't know, that's like a outdoor like handball court type place. So I have been like drilling stuff there, but I've been really happy with the preparation in terms of the strength and conditioning, and actually felt like mentally I was in a really good place. Okay, this is the preparation I've done, and I'm going to go in there and do my absolute best with this preparation. So like, I felt really good in that sense.
It sounds like you were accepting the path. Like
Yeah.
the choices you made, you had accepted that this is what I'm doing. This is the best that I can do with what I have right now.
Yeah, like I felt confident off of what I had done, And then even in the performance itself, and I'm talking about the semi-final of the competition now, the game that I lost, obviously. Like during the game, I felt very composed, and like I knew that I, wasn't performing really well, but I didn't also feel like it was bad, But then in the immediate moments afterwards, I just felt so disappointed in the outcome, and like my goal always is to win, Anything less than that in a tournament is very disappointing for me. I'm not happy to get to the final. I'm not happy to be there. Well, I am happy to be there, but like I don't play handball because I think it's fun to participate in competitions. I play handball because I want to win the competition.
Yeah.
Like everyone, and I would be lying if I tried to say anything else. So like I was bitterly disappointed in the outcome of that game.
Yeah, you were.
And like Frida will tell you, I was in a bad mood.
You were, yeah.
Yeah. But something that's important for me, and I think this can be important for other people, is because we're often told, especially when you're younger, you're kind of told like, come on, like everything's going to be okay. And we know that everything will be okay. It's also okay to just be disappointed, to be annoyed, and to feel like, oh, why could I not play better? It's okay to feel that in the immediate aftermath. Like you obviously really care about this thing.
Yeah, to allow yourself to experience what you're experiencing.
Yeah, and like you don't have to like put on a happy face, and like, I'm not saying you should be mean to people or anything, but I said to you, like, I don't want to talk about the game right now. Like, I don't want to analyze it. I don't want to try to understand where I went wrong. I just want to go for lunch. And then we went to the outlets in Belfast, walked around, just distracted myself.
Yeah.
And then by Monday morning, so less than 12 hours later, I'm like, okay, I feel pretty normal again. The world is still spinning, and we shall move on.
No, you definitely took those hours there to just process and just feel internally. And then Monday, Tuesday, we talked about it a little bit more. Like it wasn't as raw then. And it is important to allow ourselves to feel that way. And I think sometimes something that can be hard, and I have to actively think about this too, is that you said, I don't want to talk about it right now.
Yeah.
So for me to also allow you that space, because I might want to make you feel better by saying X, Y, and Z, So there's a little bit of a balance there for someone that's supporting an athlete as well.
That's actually a really important point, because I think a lot of the time the supporting person might be like, you played well, and like, try to make it seem better. And like for someone who's really disappointed and struggling with that after performance, that often is not super helpful. Even though it's very nice, it's like, no, like, why are you lying to me? That can actually be the thought that can come with that.
And I suppose, if you're not a great headspace already because you are feeling disappointed in all the feelings, those things might just annoy you even more. So I guess with disappointment then, if you're someone that's with an athlete, asking them, do you want to talk about it? And if they don't, then don't. Talk about it when they're ready. And for the athlete that might not want to talk about it, something that we recommend is writing things down. So when you are feeling all of these feelings and like, it's just floating around in your head, and our mind can go from left to right, up and down, like it goes all over the shop. If we have been feeling this way, right, that we might be thinking about everything, is to write it down on paper. Just don't even like try to structure it. Just write down your thoughts as they're coming into your head. Everything you're feeling about the performance.
Often the disappointment can quickly come with like this fuel and this motivation. I'm going to do better next time. Like I'm going to do things differently so that I can perform. Because as humans, we don't want to feel that way again.
Yeah.
And we want to do better. But that quickly passes, that motivation to just get back to work. A week later, we might not feel it's as raw. I'll think about the next competition when I'm close to it again,
Yeah.
But by writing everything down, it's a reminder to yourself, like, this is how I felt on this day. And unless I do something differently, I'm going to feel that way again.
Yeah. So it serves many purposes. That's why we always recommend having a performance journal. Check out our YouTube series that's coming soon.
Yes, journaling for performance coming soon.
Yeah.
Also, if you watched our most recent video, you will see exclusive insight into my handball journal for the season. So yeah, check out the YouTube.
But yeah, back to the topic. Sorry, it was such a good. I couldn't resist.
And with those thoughts that you're writing down, like, something that's really helpful is to use the fuel. You can actually use those thoughts, like understanding, first of all, like we said, like, what am I disappointed about? And then, okay, let's write these things down and let's use these things to fuel this next training block. If I'm disappointed in the outcome, well, that also is a funny one for me because it does go back to the performance. The performance led to the outcome. So, okay, what in my performance do I need to work on? Identify those things. So then we're actually using it instead of just like having this like overwhelming feeling of disappointment. And then it's just like, okay, after a few days that's passed, I'm just going to, like, not think about it ever again, which can be an easy path to go down too when you're not happy with the performance. Just like avoid ever thinking about it again. But I think those are the performances where you can learn the most. Why did this person or this team, how did they outperform us?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think something that's a key point here that kind of ties back to the podcast before this one, Mastering Reflection.
Mm-hmm.
And you did this exact process. You felt your feelings. You wrote down your feelings. When you're ready.
I have it right here.
Yeah, you do. I'm not going to have you read out your journal, don't worry. And then after that, using those reflective questions, thinking about, okay, well, what went well, what's worth improving, how can I improve this? So that's also a way that we can take control, in a way, of this disappointment to then use it to fuel us in a structured manner.
Yeah. And I think the first question actually really helped me this week. Because in the immediate aftermath of the game, I was like, oh my God, that was terrible. The more time that passed, no, actually, that was a very emotional response to the game.
Yeah.
It actually was not. There was actually many positives for me. So that first question, what went well, is really important in handling the disappointment, because it can just feel like, it's so easy, I think, sometimes to say, I just played so bad, but I just think that's such a cop-out. It's not as straightforward as that, and I don't think I necessarily played bad. I think I was really, if I'm being honest, very much outperformed, and there was just certain things, I'm not going to tell you what I wrote in my journal, but there's just certain things that can definitely be better. Like, it's such a cop-out for me to say, oh, I just played bad, that's why they beat me,
Yeah.
Like, but that can also be a protective mechanism to just say that. So yeah, the questions, those 3 questions are so helpful in handling, like, winning or losing and being disappointed in yourself.
Absolutely. So kind of summarize what we have talked about this far. Step 1 in handling disappointment, allowing yourself to feel it and not trying to get rid of it, just like sit in it. Of course, there's a time frame here too. Like, if we're feeling this for a week, then we're probably not handling the disappointment very well. So that's what these steps are for as well. So step 1, sitting in the feelings and then writing it down, unfiltered, on paper. And then we can use those questions that we already had to make structure, so we can use that fuel to go into the next performance, right? And then the last thing that we want to remember is that this too will pass.
Yeah, and it's funny because I always think about, and it helps me manage, like, the pressure that comes with performing sometimes is like, after the competition, regardless of how it goes, like, your life is going to go back to normal.
Yeah.
And it's just going to continue. And like, I find that really helpful to handle the, like, focusing on how much you want to achieve something. But it works just the same way after the fact if it hasn't worked out the way you wanted. Whether you like it or not, this week by Tuesday, I was grand again, You've thought about it, you've moved on. And I know for some people it can take longer. It can be something that's difficult to move past when you're very disappointed in a performance. But remembering that, like, eventually this really strong feeling, which is uncomfortable, is going to pass and things will be back to normal, whatever that is for you.
And also remembering that other people, they don't care. They've moved on. Honestly, no, but for real. Because I think something that we do as humans too is that we might feel disappointed in our performance, but then we also think about what everybody else is thinking.
Yeah.
But the reality is nobody else cared.
That's
they moved
true.
on yesterday.
Yeah.
No, like that, and that's the reality, regardless of if you, let's say, lose or perform really poorly, or if you won the Worlds.
Yeah, that's true. Nobody cares.
Not anymore. No, but I think that's just important to remember. So like this too will pass.
Yeah.
Goes for the positive, the in between, and the negative.
I also, sorry, I think about that. I'm not going on a tangent, I promise. But I think about that we should spend as much time disappointed as we spend being absolutely delighted with ourselves after a performance, which is not that long. You know, like I find a lot of the time what happens personally and even with people like we work with is, you know, we dwell on that poor performance and the disappointment and everything we could have done differently. And whereas when we perform really well and like maybe we actually achieve a goal that we set, we're happy to have done that. But 24 hours later, we're not still sitting there being like, I'm amazing, you know? But we might be sitting there being like, that was so bad.
So what I got from this is you should sit longer than 24 hours
True.
to think you're
That's
delighted.
why I say make it the same amount. If you dwell in disappointment for a week, I want you to live in the happiness for a week after a good performance, you know? Because those two things are as important as each other.
I agree.
Thank you. This is our 3-step process to handling disappointment.
Yeah, I mean, we went a little all over the shop, I think, but we got to the point.
And I mean, it's something everyone's going to experience. So it's a normal part of performing. And being able to handle it is important.
Yeah, I agree. So as always, you now have an opportunity to use the space in between to better yourself and your performance.
That's what I'm doing.
Exactly. Thank you for tuning in.
And I was going to say, see you. You'll hear us in the next one. Bye.